Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Rare Interview. This week, this episode, we're going to try and not do these weekly because we've got so many that we want to get out. Pride Month, we've got so many cool stories that are coming out, and a lot of stories about people's experiences within the LGBT community, within wrestling. We want to kind of get these out and let people hear them over Pride Month. So this episode's going to be with Joshua James, fantastic wrestler from down in the Midlands area. He came out quite early on, started wrestling, and talked about... To be perfectly honest, ladies and gentlemen, this one gets quite emotional, and I'm quite happy that Josh came through and did this one, and just, it's quite hard to put any words in it. I'm really looking forward to you all to hear it. Really looking forward to you all to just listen to his story, because I personally think this is a very uplifting story. Listening to what he's going through and where he is now, what he's been through, I should say, and where he is now is absolutely amazing. So I can't wait for you all to hear it. I'm going to play a little bit of music, and then we'll get ready with the interview. Thanks very much. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Red Interview with. My name is Christopher Saint. I am your host, and I'm so excited for our next guest. He is a fantastic young talent down in England. His name is Jason Joshua. Am I right? Because I always get them mixed up.
Yeah, no, that's
Jason,
right.
Welcome to the show.
Hello.
I try and get a lot of notes in together and do all these things. The one thing I can't get, and I forgot to write it down. Where are you from again? Where in England are you?
Leicester.
Leicester?
Yes,
Right,
I'm in
okay.
the Midlands.
No problem. Right. So the first thing we want to know, just tell us about yourself. Tell us about how you got into wrestling. Tell us how you got started, like the early part. How long have you been wrestling?
3 years, February.
3 years. Oh, Christ. God, I feel dead old now. As soon as you reach past double digits, you're like, oh, fuck, dead old. But tell us about your starts, how it got introduced to you, how you found your school, who were kind of the beginnings of your training.
So when I was like 18, because I'm 26, when I was like 18, I booked to go to a wrestling class, and I got myself all ready, and then the day before I decided not to go. I genuinely thought, I can't do this, because basically I was like, being gay is going to be a big issue for it, and it put me off. Then I met my other half when I was 21, and he introduced me to TJ Sky that he happened to know by chance.
Yeah.
And he was like, this guy's a wrestler, you love wrestling, why don't you talk to him about training? So we met at a house party, got on like a house on fire. He invited me to come train, and I started training with him and a man from Coventry called Psycho Steve.
I heard of him.
Yeah, he's mental.
It's in the name.
Yeah, so I started there. So I started travelling to Coventry on Sundays and just training there every week. And my other half had to sit and watch because I couldn't drive at the time. So it was like 40 minutes travel. My other half had to sit there for 2.5 hours as I got thrown about.
I mean, I bet there was probably days where he's sitting wincing and probably feeling dead bad for you getting battered, and then there's days you've not done the dishes and he's like,
yeah, no, I think he enjoys watching it. I think he enjoys watching me getting battered.
Good. Well, not good, but it's good that he's there. He was there and he was supporting you.
He's always been great. He's always at shows. Before I could drive, he was driving me to all my shows.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
100% the reason I'm actually a wrestler.
Wow. You know he's lurking somewhere in the hall, just listening in, just being like...
Yeah, I told him not to listen because I'm really awkward on camera, so playing the Xbox.
So where was it you started training?
So I originally trained with Phoenix Wrestling Alliance, which is based in Coventry, and they started me off. I started with them in the October 2016, and then my first match was February 2017.
Right, but that was for Phoenix, your first match?
Yeah.
Okay. So who was in your first match? Who kind of...
So
any stories about it?
I was in a tag match. A team with a friend of mine called Nathan Jones. He's one of the few wrestlers that wrestles with cerebral palsy.
All right.
So he has limitations in one of his arms.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't believe it when he gets going. He's great. And it was a tag match, and I was against 2 people. One I'm going to name, she was Gemma Stone, and she's great. The other one I'm not going to name because in a very polite way, he was not a nice man.
All right. Okay.
So it sounds really silly, but I don't want to give him credit.
Oh, that's fine.
I was incredibly nervous. I suffer with a social anxiety disorder, and I was shaking the entire day. So we got it all set up. He was like, yeah, we've got this. We're going to sort it out. We got to the curtain. He tapped me on the shoulder and he went, yeah, I'll do what I want, and then just made me look like an absolute fool. And that was my first match, and he made me look like a right tit.
I think that's like the sad thing about wrestling is there are people like that. Thankfully, they are very few and far between, and sadly you ended up with one of those people. And again, like, I don't want to find out who it is. We don't want to give them credit because we don't want to credit people like that because they're arseholes.
Yeah,
and like
100%. Yeah.
I'm hoping you didn't have to work with him.
I've never had to work with him again. He, I think, works at two different places faces. He very much did the "I'm a vet," which it nearly put me off one match in, and I was like, "What's the point of it?"
Yeah.
But other than him, I don't think I could describe how lucky I've been in the past 3 years. Some of the people I've trained with, some of the people I've got to wrestle, I've been really lucky. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Like you said, your partner, he comes to all the comes to all your shows. I'm just safe to assume he was at your very first match.
Yes.
What was his reaction when he finally got to see your first match? Obviously, you've had your somewhat of a negative experience.
There's actually a photo from it because the photographer just got a photo of my laugh, just smiling, just because I think it was a mix of proud and seeing me get hit.
Just like fucking hit him again. But so proud because I had
it's always been amazing.
No, I'm glad to hear it. Like, it's good. Like, as much as you talk about the match and there's negative parts in the match, I'm hoping there was positive parts in the match. Like, you got to work with Gemma Stone and
Nathan Jones and Gemma Stone. I trained with Gemma, and she was a lot of help with boosting my confidence and just getting to work with Nathan. He was constantly there, just telling me I can do it, I can get this going, and we were going to do well.
Yeah, that's what it needs to be.
I got to win my first match. So
you guys win it? Yeah. Hopefully, please tell me you pinned the arsehole.
I can't actually remember. I think I did.
Good. At least you can say that. It's a prick. So we've went through your early. Is there any kind of fun stories from your training before your first match? Anything that sticks out in your mind? Any ribbon or anything like that? Fun ribbon, no bad ribbon. We don't like that.
No, I think I've been quite lucky. I think people to start with were overly careful because it was that thing of there's not many LGBTQ wrestlers. And I think they were slightly worried of, if we say this, it might be too much or it might offend. And I think people were a bit too protective around me to start with.
I think it's because I've been with people like that as well. I was quite lucky at Source. Like, everybody was very open-minded and very accepting and stuff. And I'm glad to hear they were accepted, and I'm glad to hear they were careful. But sometimes you get some people where you just go, okay, it's okay to make mistakes. Stop. There's no eggshells. I'm a big boy.
Yeah.
So
I'm very open about it, and I don't even mind a joke as long as it's not meant like vindictive.
But then you can do certain jokes with certain people, and then you get that one person who says something, you go, right, you don't know me well enough.
Like, no, take it back. But the original group of people I train with, I started training at 22. I was training with a 15-year-old who's phenomenal, and I guarantee by the time he's 20, everyone will know him.
That's terrifying.
I would put money on it.
Who's that, if you know what I'm asking?
He's called George Lydon. He now trains with Kamikaze Pro. I think he's phenomenal, and I've thought it from the day I met him. He was amazing. I trained with him. I trained with a deaf punk, so we had the big red mohawk that couldn't hear what we were saying.
I think I know who you're talking about.
He was great for my training as well. Psycho Steve would show, he just had a way of showing you the basics absolutely down to the ground. And I just think I was very lucky. I stopped training there eventually just because it was so much of an effort to get there. And I moved on to a couple of different training schools.
So obviously now you're doing shows and you're working with different people, learning different things. Have you got any fun road stories? People that you've worked with, any fun matches that you look back on that you enjoy?
I've only started really travelling the past year, sort of further afield. It's been quite tame. I've been to Wales a couple of times. That's always a journey and a half, 4 hours. I was coming back, I can't remember where it was. We were coming back from a show and we saw a bunch of people running up a road, and we ended up calling a fire engine and helping put a car. It was just burst into flames. So it was 1 a.m, and it was a group of wrestlers and a group of 19-year-old lads all just trying to get away from this burning car. That was an interesting one. But I think actual travel journeys, I've been quite lucky. They've all been quite tame. I can't think of anything too mental. I've done long journeys, but nothing, I sound really boring, but nothing too over the top.
What about at shows and stuff? Anything stick out in your mind? Like a favourite match so far?
I would say I've been very lucky with the people I've worked with. I'd say my favourite match so far is with White Tiger. My local promotion that's literally like 10 minutes from where I live is Wrestling in Hinckley, which is owned by the lad that originally got me into training. It's owned by TJ Sky, and he made me work to get on shows. So when I finally got on it, it was a big thing, and he built me up as the local hero. And then I turned around to him and said, I don't want to keep being a hero. And he gave me the opportunity to be a bit of a dick on his shows, and the opportunity I got to be a bit of a dick with was with White Tiger. We're meant to have worked more matches this year, but unfortunately it's
with all this stuff going on,
all on hold. But it started off with me hitting him with a briefcase, and then I screwed him out of the the local rumble, and we finally had a match, and he brings you to another level.
Yeah.
He's built so he's solid, but he can still move, and you have to step up to his level, because he's not going to step down because he's already on that level. And
if he can bring you up to that level as well.
He absolutely brought the best out of me.
Yeah.
And catching him in the match is the closest I've gone to absolutely cacking myself in the match. I caught him from a crossbody, and I thought he's only about my height, and I'm only about 5'9".
Yeah.
And he's built so, and I was like, oh, easy catch. I've got this. Caught him. Oh my God. He must be about 17 stone.
It's just solid.
Yeah. And then as he came at me, and it's just like, oh crap. And then I caught him. I was like, I've actually caught him. I need to get all the air back in my body, but I actually caught him. And I actually ran away from that match. I ran through the crowd as my dad and granddad stood there laughing. And it was meant to be a big blow-off match with him that I would honestly say I was expecting to be the highlight so far. I got the look of working with Joe Connors quite early on.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
I worked with him in a tag match. So I train with him sometimes at Elevation, his training school, because that's not too far from me. And he just turned around to me at one training session and just said, do you want to work a tag match at our next show? I was like, yeah, great. And then he turned around and went, great, it's against me and Lucas Archer. Awesome.
And you're just like, oh, great. Yeah. Fan happy.
First time working heel, and at the time I had unicorns on my trunks. I had to go out there, and it was
someone else who's worn unicorns as a heel. It does get good heat, doesn't it?
Yeah. I worked because first year and a half I'd only worked babyface. Yeah. So my gear was. I had one with unicorn emojis on it and one that just had a big unicorn on it. And I didn't have any plain gear. So I had to go out and wrestle in my unicorn gear. And then just as kids in the crowd were going, unicorns are shit. So...
I think it works because, like, I did it with, like, I had this big white I had this big logo with 2 unicorns on it, and there was all these different things, and just going out, and then I had drag queens coming to the ring with me, but as a heel.
Oh, that's amazing.
People are just like older generations, you can think some of the things they said.
Yeah.
And then you've got younger guys who are like, women loved it, because they were just like, oh my God, drag queens. And then you've got it's just these unicorns, and you'd have those kids going, oh shit, I hate them. I was, they're the national animal.
Yeah, I love it because with a lot of the younger ones, when they're turning around and going, oh, unicorns are shit, this, that and the other, it's not meant as, oh, this is clearly gay, this is a bad thing. It's just meant as, you're out there, you're being a dick, so we're going to dig at unicorns. And I love it because you get a lot of people, I've had it before where, he's wearing a unicorn, we can't boo him because it's going to be seen as this dodgy area. And it's like, no, I'm out there as a heel. Boo me.
Shout horrible things at me. See, before I started wearing the unicorns and stuff, I was just a dick. So, like, before I did all that, they already booed me, so I was quite lucky in that way. But I get what you mean. When you're debuting at a new place and you walk out with the unicorns and stuff, people are like, can we boo him? Yeah. Then I turn around and say, well, like, the mum's fat or something, and they go, yeah, we can boo him.
Yeah, well, I ended up switching to a singlet. Because I'm a bit self-conscious about my body for one, but I was working heel in more places and I was like, I can't wear unicorn anymore. Yeah. And so now I just wear quite colourful, different pattern singlets. So I have a leopard print one with stars on it, one that's like a weird paint thing. Yeah. And I just wear them instead because I still look like a bit of a tit.
What wrestler doesn't look like a bit of a tit?
Yeah, so I can still get the you look stupid stuff. And so I'm a lot more comfortable with that now. I've been quite lucky though because people do the, oh, can we, can't we? But overall I've been quite lucky. And I think I've only ever got like a really inappropriate chance. I think wouldn't. And I don't think the lad that said it had any idea that I was gay. I think he was just trying to get a reaction from me after I'd been thrown out the ring. But I've been so lucky because you hear some horror stories and you think, oh God, but I've been so lucky. I've worked so many people and so many people that are just open. And because you go into a new wrestling show and you go, oh, is someone going to have an issue with this? Is someone going to try and say something? Yeah. And it's got to be the most accepting place. Which sounds mental. When you think about wrestling, you think, oh, masculine, you've got to be this, you've got to be that. And then you walk in and you can be the gay lad and not be the gayest person on the show.
That's what I love about wrestling. I had, like, when I first came out, I had those exact same fears. And sometimes I still do. When you're going in, the only gay person there. And the time when I came out, I was the only gay wrestler in Scotland. So it's like that I was even more just on a little island on my own. Yeah. There was other guys, like some guys had just started training around that time and they were coming through, but as a representative on shows, I was sitting there going, oh fuck, it's just me. But then when you actually peel it back, and I get, like, don't get me wrong, I got a lot of shit on Twitter, Facebook, I got death threats and everything when I first came out. Yeah. So like, there was all that there.
Twitter for a while, and I have seen stuff before, and it's it's mental that they think it somehow affects them and that they can just hide behind a keyboard.
Yeah. Well, because I talked about this in another interview, when I first came out, one of the first people I spoke to was my trainer, David O'Connor, or Killian Dane now. I came out and he kind of had a bit of a joke with me because I went, like, you know, I'm gay. And he went, well, we all knew. And then we had a bit of a laugh, but is there any... I was talking about the school because that's when I was training. I was there a couple of times a week. And it was worrying me because there was a lot of new people coming through, and I was like, and he put me to rest with that. And it's the same when you go to shows. Not the gayest person there, and wrestling's a pretty gay sport. Like,
so much.
It's when people say, "Oh, I'm dead masculine." I'm like, "Oh, that's dead nice in your glittery pants."
Yeah, I'm a man's man. Glittery jacket. Let's go to the ring.
No, it's the ones you see, and they're trying to be big and tough, and I'm like, smudged your eyeliner.
Yeah,
they're like, "Oh, it's great."
I'm so glad I found wrestling. See, you had started training, then you came out. I turned up to my first training session with my boyfriend, so there was no hiding it, really, was there?
Yeah.
And
I bet they didn't bat an eye.
Pardon?
I bet they didn't bat an eye when you started. I bet it was just, right, cool. Do I go get warmed up?
Oh, I had some people that I'd been training with for 2 months, and then I hugged my other half who had been at every training session, and they went, "Wait, you're gay?" He's been sat in the corner for the last 8 weeks. You're
just noticing this now. Because it's as much as like the process of coming out and all that, and we'll talk about that later, like the process of that coming out is a big deal. Being gay is not a big deal.
No.
The people that make it a big deal are either homophobes or just stupid.
Yeah. I had I delayed going into wrestling till I was nearly 22 because I had this constant thing of it's such a manly thing. I'm not particularly feminine, but I'm also very open about being gay in general. So it was constantly that thought, oh, it's going to be such an issue, and it was my other half and TJ Sky that turned around and went, stop being an idiot, go train, you love this thing, you won't know unless you try. And it was them two that just pushed me forward.
And did you find with them giving you that push, you needed that push?
Oh yeah,
just get in the door. Do you think if you didn't get that, you'd never have started training?
I'd still be putting it off. It sounds like I'm getting really deep. When I was 16, I was beaten up, and it left me with a severe anxiety disorder. When between the age of 16 and 18, I didn't really leave my house. I couldn't physically do it unless I was literally grabbed and pulled out of the door.
Yeah.
And I couldn't manage to leave the house. I was getting better on my own at like 19, 20. I was getting out places. I could travel a bit more. I could go to the local town. Then I met my other half at 2021, and it just went from better to better to better. But I was still scared of travelling any more than 10 minutes, doing anything in front of people.
Yeah.
And my other half he got me in the car, he kept me calm, got me there, and we just went from there. So I went from being a complete hermit and not being able to leave my house to
travelling and doing shows and
and I say it to him all the time, but I don't think he'll ever know how much it means that he gave me the push to make the next step.
Yeah.
And then, like, I've been on anxiety medication for 10 years. I started reducing it last week.
Oh, amazing.
It's the first time I've ever reduced my medication.
And I think a lot of people who are on medication for these things, like I've worked with a lot of people who take medication for anxiety, and when you finally get to a chance where you can reduce that comfortably, that's a really big step, isn't it?
Yeah, it's scary. And I 100% wouldn't have done it on my own. It's down to my other half that I'll keep absolutely putting over. And it's down to the people I train with. It's been down from the people I train with from the start, and the school I go to now, absolutely just helping me.
Yeah.
My physical health, my mental health.
That's amazing, mate. Like, obviously, this is the first time me and you've properly ever spoken. So getting to hear all that and that journey is absolutely amazing.
Just don't tell TJ Sky how much think of him, because...
I'll like, if he hears this and he says anything, just tell him I edited it and just like we did.
You rearranged my words. I'm not putting him over on.
I had to take out all the horrible things you said about him. This is
where we're slagging off the accusation.
He owes you money, stuff like that. No,
I probably owe him money, to be fair.
But like hearing all that stuff, like, it's that process of coming out of your shell, and it takes years. Like a lot of people turn around and go, "Oh, you came out of shell within a few weeks." Like it's not that simple. Like some people can come out of their shell, like they start a new job and they're quite quiet, and then a few weeks later they're fine. That's just because they're comfy. Coming out your shell as a person takes years and years, and sometimes it does take something like you said, your partner, they helped you so much. Like when I started wrestling, I was really quiet, and now 11 years on, I don't shut the fuck up. Like, and I'm doing interviews just so I've got something to talk about and stuff. No, but getting to that is an amazing journey, and now seeing the progress with your medication and stuff like that, or hearing your progress with your medications?
I've still got a good amount ahead of me.
Yeah.
But it's through my other half in wrestling that completely saved me.
Yeah.
If I hadn't have found them two things, I can guarantee I would be in a much, much crappier place.
Well, I think I speak on behalf of everybody, and we're glad you found it, because
Yeah.
it's that, like, and I hope people who listen to this take something from this and go, maybe I want to start this club, maybe I want to start this.
Yeah.
Just doing something, and hopefully it gives them that push. Look how much it did for Jason.
I hope so. I owe a lot to a lot of people, and I hope that people will see what I've done and will say, oh, maybe I can take that extra step. And all I want for people.
Oh, that's it. That's amazing. Right. Obviously, the next thing I want to talk about, the next thing I'd like to talk about, we're in Pride Month. So I've talked with Xander Cooper about his coming out and his, because he was fairly.
Xander Cooper.
Xander, it's fantastic, isn't he? Love him.
So good.
I know, it's absolutely terrifying how good he is and how naturally, but we got to talk a lot about his coming out because he only came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
He, for lack of a better term, he was a bit of a late bloomer. Like you said, you came out before you were out, and you were out and proud with your partner long before you started training.
Yeah.
And you've taught, and you've delved in and out of that before you started training, and you've talked about how you felt in wrestling as a gay man, those things. So anything else, like when you first came out, how did your family feel, anything like that? Hoping it was all positive.
Oh yeah, I was mad lucky. Like I don't think it could have been taken better. My original coming out was at college. I was like 17, and someone said something, and my friend Alita turned around to me and she went, "We know." And I went, "I don't know what you're on about." And she went, "Yeah, that's fine, but we know." And then I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, you're right." And I was about 17. I didn't properly come out to my parents till I was 20, but I'd come out to my friends back when I was about 17. I came out to my mum. I don't even know if it's really coming out. I'd been on a date with a lad the night before, and she saw me get dropped off by a lad, and I was eating my cereal the next morning, and she walked in the kitchen and she went, "Was that a date?" And I went, "Maybe." And she went, "Is he a nice lad?" And I went, "Maybe." And she went, "So you are?" And I went, "Maybe." And she then went to the bottom of the stairs and shouted up to my stepdad and went, "Bernard, I was right, you owe me a £5."
Fantastic.
So that's how my mum found out. She claims she's known since I was 2. But to be fair to her, when I was a very young child, I was very much a stereotype. It was favourite colour was pink. I wanted to be a hairdresser. So I was very much.
I mean, look at you now though. Like you went from I want to be a hairdresser to I'm going to fling this guy over my head. So
yeah, the hairdresser thing didn't last very long, but I think it was enough to give my mum an idea. I told my dad over text because I did think he might have an issue with it. He didn't. He took me out for a burger. I was terrified of telling my grandparents because older generation.
Yeah.
By the time my nan passed away about 18 months ago, my other half was her favourite grandchild. Worship the ground he walked on. And everyone goes, "Oh, it's our generation. Oh, we can't change this, we can't change that." And she completely just took him into the family. And now I'm crying. I actually lost my granddad on Monday.
Oh, fuck me, I'm so sorry.
And he was 87. And again, everyone goes about the age, the generation makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't have been more accepting. I couldn't be a more proud grandson. He came to watch me on the last show before COVID cancelled shows.
Yeah.
And he got to see me do it. And he said how proud he was.
Take your time, mate.
Yeah. And how much he loved my other half. And it's why I'll never accept the excuse of it's our generation, it's our bringing up. Because my nan was born in the Second World War. She was 87 when she passed away as well. Mm-hmm. She was 18 months older than my granddad, and she called him a toy boy. And she would sit and hold my other half's hand and just chat about rubbish. But yeah, she made the odd comment because you told her okay 60 years ago, but she never did anything to offend. Neither did my granddad, and they were both. I was so everyone just accepted it or just said they knew, and I was so lucky. And now that I get to talk about them on an interview, I'm happy.
No, mate. Like, first off, like, that's a lot to share. So thank you. And I know you're a bit emotional now, and I totally understand. Like, I can't put into words how happy I am about your grandparents and about how they were accepting, about how they accepted you and your partner, and just made him feel part of the family. And like, I know, like, I'm trying not to cry now.
I had to talk about them. I know it's a bit depressing, but I had to bring them up because they were such a big part of it.
The thing is, mate, it's not depressing. Like, what you've told us was those are not the tears of sadness because they're no longer with us, and I'm so sorry that they're not. But they're also tears of just. I hope that they're just tears of happiness because of how accepting we were and how an example they put to prove that it's not a generational thing.
Yeah, my granddad came to the last Wrestling in Hinckley show before COVID-19. We got him there early because he was in a wheelchair. The man was like the Hulk. He'd had 3 strokes. He broke his hip. He'd had blood poisoning. They
don't build them like that anymore, do they?
Like, if you can list an illness, this man had it, beat it, and then gone, yeah, all right, let's go on with it. He was amazing. And he came to this wrestling show, and he got there early so we could get him comfortable in his wheelchair. Everyone introduced themselves to him. Every person shook his hand. Every person on that show just so kind to him.
And made him feel so welcome. And
it was amazing. And then every time I got punched, just Grandad laughing in the background. Absolutely loved it and worshipped. There's a woman called Dominita that works. She works a bit of everywhere, but she works in Hinckley.
Heard the name.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Grandad loved her. Spoke about her for days after the show. It turns out my granddad was a massive flirt.
Really?
Yeah, which I never knew when my nan was about. But
maybe that's why he was a toy boy. So.
Oh yeah, he was a yeah.
Okay, bud.
Yeah.
Good.
Like,
for those, because obviously this is going out as an audio thing, just to say, like, it's nice to see just the big smile on your face as well when you talk about them. Like, because obviously I can see you, but this goes out audio, so I just wanted to point out that there is a massive smile on your face. And again, thank you for sharing all that. And it's so nice.
I'm happy to talk about them.
And it's you hear all these horror stories about families, especially like you hear all these horror stories about parents disowning their children, grandparents disowning them. So hearing that your mum put a bet on it, which is which I find really funny. Your dad taking you out for a burger, and just that story about your grandparents is like that's the kind of story that needs to be out there more.
Yeah,
because
I know I'm lucky.
Yeah,
I know how lucky I am. I know how other people have to go through so much. Over something that's really not an option. As much as people want to say you choose it or anything like that, it's not. And to be able to just say it to my family and them to just go, yeah, okay. Like, people don't realise how lucky that is.
And I don't think people realise, like, people focus on so many bad stories.
Yeah.
And they realise that there is a lot of negativity when it comes with it because of people's reaction. And then stories like yours, which I can't thank you enough for sharing, because if someone listens to this and maybe they're thinking about coming out, or maybe they're already out and maybe they've not told their parents yet, they've not had that conversation. Me personally, I don't think people need to come out in this day and age, but it's still something that happens. It's still, until we get to a certain point in our lives, it's still something that's going to need to happen. Hearing that hearing that story, I hope motivates people to come out to their family and just hope that their family is accepting of that. And
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it can be something positive.
yeah,
It's all you really want, isn't it?
yeah, like it's like all you kind of like. Some people might turn around and go, "Oh, they like gay guys, lesbians, bisexuals, transsexuals. They all want the attention. They want this. They want everything to be there." No, we just want the exact same as what everybody else gets.
Yeah,
we want to just be like,
I like attention, but I don't like attention because I'm gay. I like attention because I'm an attention seeker.
yeah,
the difference. You get,
like,
my other half is a complete antisocial, anti-attention. He doesn't like people paying attention to him. He has a very limited circle of friends, and he's very open and happy. It's not for the attention.
It's not. It's just it's so that we can all sit down at the same table and have fun and just, or even just be welcome at the same table.
Yeah.
And with everything that goes on, especially in the world right now, with everything that's going on, it's more important to just be like, to put it down bluntly, it's so important to just be accepting.
Yeah, and it's mad that it's 2020 and people just can't be themselves. Like, it's insane. Right, let's move back on wrestling. What are your plans for after isolation, after lockdown? What is the next plan for Jason Joshua? I got a car in November, and I was certain I was going to get as many places as I can. Yeah. And then COVID stopped it. So takes me till 25 to get a car. Can't drive it for most of 26. So the big plan is to hopefully expand where I am. Yeah. I want to get everywhere. I want people to know who I am, to know we can have an LGBTQ worker that I'll work just as hard, if not harder. I want to be everywhere. My main two, I wrestle for Wrestling in Hinckley, which is based in Hinckley and Leicester. Yep. And they've always given me the opportunity to learn and grow, and I want to continue working for them as much as possible. And I work for New Breed Wrestling Association, the NBWA out of Banbury. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. They were actually mad enough to make me their cruiserweight champion. Really? So I've had their cruiserweight belt for over a year, and I intend to keep it for as long as possible. Good. And I want to help. I want to help New Breed build up, and they've helped me so much. I'm hoping I can do the same in return. It's nice to hear that. I love hearing about wrestlers who want to help the companies that work for them, that book them. And you hear a lot of wrestlers go, "Oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this." So it's nice to hear someone go, "I want to help this company do this." Yeah, that's really nice. Don't get me wrong. I want to work as many places as possible. Yeah. But the two that have helped me with not just my wrestling, with my anxiety, with stuff in general, are New Breed and Wrestling in Hinckley. And I just, as much as I want to get out everywhere, I want to help the two that have helped me so much. Yeah. I mean, if they were crazy enough to give me a belt, for starters, I mean, they need all the help they can get. No, if someone's put a belt on you, it's because they have that faith in you. Yeah, and they've always had that trust and faith in me. They've always given me, all the companies I've worked for have given me a chance to grow. I've been very lucky. I've trained with Joe Connors a lot. I've trained with TJ Sky. I train with Chris Baxter, who owns New Breed. Psycho Steve. I've done more seminars than I can count. So I've been lucky. For 3 years in, I've wrestled. 3 years in, you've done really well for yourself. I like to think I have. I want to do more. It's one of them things where it's never enough. No matter what I do, I want to be the next level. I want to have the better match. I want to have the bigger crowds. I always want to keep going forward. And whenever it stalls, I do kind of go through that phase of, no, I should be doing more than this. Yeah. And then COVID came along, and it was like, well, why did, just when I was getting myself in order, when I was getting a car, I didn't have to literally rely on everyone else to get to a show, and we're not allowed to travel anywhere. But then think, like, you're going to have this moment where COVID, this lockdown's going to end, hopefully this year. So I think, because I've spoken to a few different promoters about it, I think their plans is, like, for the last few months of the year, maybe to do shows. But it will definitely be 2021 is probably when everything's probably going to kick off again. So that's where we need to sit, and that's where people like yourself, me, I was meant to be in my retirement year. I need to put that back. Yeah. So doesn't count. This doesn't count. So you're sitting going, so how was your retirement? Well, half of it I spent in the house, really.
I mean, wasn't he like, I can't even do my shoot job, I can't do any of my drag shows, can't do anything like that. So this is where we've kind of built up starting where we're going to go from this. And the same can be said for every wrestler, because as soon as we get allowed to do shows again, everybody's just going to fly out the door.
Yeah, I've got the view of it'll be one way or the other. I think people are either going to drop off the face of the planet because it's been gone and that it's done now, or they're going to come back with so much, can't even think of the right word.
So what's drive?
Drive, motivation. Because like I'm very, even talking about it now, I'm like,
yeah. Every time I talk about getting back to shows, you get that little fucking swap.
Right, it's like a tingle in your hands. Mm-hmm. You want to be. Because I was finally getting to a point where I felt like I was learning every show. I felt like I was improving every show.
Yeah.
It stalled, and I can't wait to get back to it.
Same here, pal.
I'm going to be running.
It'll be the first time I've ever run.
Yeah, it'll be about the first time I've
everything.
ever run. I'll miss my gym as well.
Well, they're meant to be open back. From what I've heard, they're meant to open back in the middle of June. So
yeah, I'm hoping so. And then I'm hoping there's a little gap between that and shows so that I can work off all the extra ice cream I've eaten. Because I'm meant to be holding a cruiserweight belt.
You're holding it. It's like when a best held the X Division title. You're like, I can squeeze about. I'm sure I have that.
Yeah, just breathe in as I walk to the ring.
Just as long as you breathe in for photos. Yeah. That's the trick I learned.
I've been doing that for years. That was before actually.
So no, I'm the same. Like, I need to get back. Like, I've discovered, I've done what everyone's done in lockdown. I discovered baking and cooking, and I don't cook healthy things. So
see, I've been quite good at it. I'm still a part-time worker because my job's key. But my other half's been off. So I've been coming home to cakes, scones, cheese twists.
And I put money. You've never complained once when they're sitting there.
I haven't. I've complained afterwards when I've eaten them all.
You get the food baby.
Yeah, to the point where I went and bought a trampoline to just try and do exercise.
You might not see it in this. And obviously, people listening to this at home won't see it.
I went for a 10-foot one so I could do backflip.
My partner, when I'm in his house right now, his mum does this thing called boogie bounce once a week. And it's just this exercise thing. And I remember the first week I was here, we've been together a couple of months now, I opened the door and just started bouncing away, and I'm like, what are you doing? What's this?
Oh, it works so well. Just trying to keep yourself motivated at the minute. It's one way or the other. Some days I wake up and I can completely smash a workout, and then other days it's like I'll just
you just want to eat those cakes and cheese twists.
And he does now because they're fresh made, so you have to eat them quick. Or
it's the smell that gets you though. It pulls you in, doesn't it?
Yeah. The worst bit is I can't eat egg, and he's anything with egg in I get quite poorly. So he started to make egg-free cake. So
is that where you go? It's not even just the motivation of eating. It's not even the temptation of eating the cake. It's
I don't get these.
He's made the effort.
Yeah, so I get to be eating egg-free cakes, and then my mum started baking. So every now and then I'll get a text off her, and it will say, "There's an egg-free cake here for you." It's like they want me to gain weight.
They want you heavyweight, mate. Office says bigger. Office said bigger.
I don't want to be bigger. I wear a singlet as it is. Like I want to work down to trunks.
Get the arms and the chest bigger. Keep the belly. Do a one strap singlet and just start larrying people.
Yeah, that'd work if I wasn't 5'9".
It worked for Taz.
Oh, true.
And he was shorter than that.
Yeah.
And if you look at the guys like
this,
Wild Boar,
I'm going to be a Taz. I'm fine with because I love Taz.
I just wasn't. I wasn't a big fan of Taz. Give me Shane Douglas over Taz anyway.
Yeah.
ECW anyway.
Yeah. In ECW he was insane.
Yeah. Oh, definitely will want that. But right, we'll close this all up. The last thing I'm going to ask you is, now, as you're a wrestler, 3 years in, still in your developing years, what advice do you have for any aspiring wrestlers? Anyone that wants to start? Especially from what you like, this whole interview has been that up right now. This is probably going to be one of my favourite ones because of just how uplifting your story actually is. And when you hear what you've been through and the people that helped you, and the network that's been growing around you, and just hearing it, I found it's one of the best stories I've ever heard in the 11 years I've been doing. I've been running around this daft scene, and I'm really glad that it's all worked out in such a way for you.
I'm really glad I did that.
Thank you.
Advice-wise, I'd say never think you're at a point where you can stop learning. I'll admit, in my first year of it, I was completely up my own art. Yeah. And I had people turn around to me and go, calm down, chill, all the time in the world. And it made so much difference. And you just always learning, always take the feedback. It may not always be what you want to hear. You'll be amazed the difference it makes. Train with everyone, anyone you can. Yeah. If there's a seminar and you can get to it and it's not a rip-off, let's be honest, some of them are. As long as you're getting fair from it, go for it, get everywhere. And learn to drive before you start training. Oh,
I still don't. I still can't drive.
it's putting it off for me was the big. I think I would have got on shows earlier, and just even if I go to a show to watch or help out, the fact that I've had to go with someone else, it just made me feel it's not like I'm relying on other people because they're always happy to help. But now that I can turn around and go, oh, I'll drive, it makes all the difference to me personally, and I think it was my biggest thing. But other than that, it's literally listen, and don't panic when you screw up in a match because everyone does it. People do it in AEW, people do it in WWE. You're allowed to do it on a smaller show.
It's how you learn.
Yeah,
You can mess up, and how you go from that is how you learn.
Yeah, you've got to let yourself grow. Whereas some people get to a certain point and they go, "No, I'm okay at this." No, just keep going, branch out, improve, find the people that are good for you. Like I've got such a good group of people with New Breed, Wrestling in Hinckley. I still owe a lot to Phoenix. Again, TJ Sky, Chris Baxter, the LGBTQ wrestlers that I've had the opportunity to talk to, work with. I followed you on Twitter for ages. I think I sent a message like 5 years ago saying how great I thought you were because it was so great to see LGBTQ.
I'm checking that right now.
You can. It's on there somewhere.
Because I know you followed me on Twitter.
Yeah, it would have been a while ago. I think it was before I was wrestling. I'm pretty sure you did.
I don't think there's no reason why I wouldn't have.
But people like Visage, Xander Cooper, I could list so many and I don't want to miss people, so I don't know if I should list people. But just helping move forward is great, and I want to do the same for the people that are coming after me.
And that's I'm sorry, I'm still looking for this.
You'll find it somewhere.
I will. I'm literally just trying to get through. There's a load of abuse, and I'm like, I love getting messages off my mum. I'll find it. We'll finish this off. We'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
Jason, this has probably been... I've only done a couple of these so far, and they'll be coming out in the next few weeks. By far, this is one of the most uplifting stories I've ever heard. And just hearing your... even in that brief time, just hearing everything that you've been through from your beginnings and with your mental health and with your sexuality and just how positive it's all turned out. I can honestly say from everybody who might listen to this, and especially from myself and everybody at Rare, I am so happy you did this, and I'm so happy that you shared it with us and that you got to. I can't wait for this. I personally can't wait for this interview to go on.
I'm really happy that I did this. I was really nervous about it, as you can probably still hear in my voice. I was scared. I'm not great in front of cameras, even if it is just the audio.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I did it. I got to talk about things, and I know I got a bit teary-eyed, but it was good teary-eyed.
That's what you want, mate.
And now it sounds really silly because I was going to put it off because of Monday, but I've got to record something that remembers them both, and I've got to talk about a load of positive stuff. And again, if TJ Sky asks,
you said nothing.
I didn't say anything nice.
We'll keep it kayfabe, mate. Right. Again, thank you very much. Wrap this up. Yeah. Thank you so much, buddy. One thing. Can you quickly tell everybody your social media stuff so we can follow you online? And we'll put it on the description below. And we'll get your... Have you got a YouTube channel?
No. I have got...
We'll get some links to your matches and stuff. We'll put them in the description.
So I've got Twitter and Instagram at Jason Joshua Pro, and my Facebook is Jason Joshua Pro Wrestler.
It is indeed. So I've got it there. I'll put links to all of them in the description. See, put it all there. Totally forgot where you're from.
Yeah, Leicester.
Yeah. Okay, bye, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Have a nice day. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll get back. You can get this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And we will see you again next week. We hope you have a lovely time. And thank you for joining us for a rare interview with.